Four dead in Venezuela, next on Jinka Java. Four dead in Venezuela does not have the same ring to it as Four Dead in Ohio, the Crosby, Stills, and Nash song commemorating the May 4th, 1970 Kent State uprising protest where four students were shot dead by our government, the United States. These students were protesting military action out here in Vietnam. So I wanted to bring that up because it's timely and it also shows that any government can do this. This is something that governments with too much power do. They kill their people at times. And while it isn't as common for us, we can see many examples of that in the socialist communist world. It also calls to mind Tiananmen Square in 1989. And I remember at the 25-year anniversary of that, I was in northern China with my colleagues, and on that specific day, I remember they shut down Google. They had let us use Google for a while, but they had turned it off. And all the internet was slow. The Great Firewall got about twice as tall that day. And me and my colleagues, still in our nice business clothes, suit and tie and all that, we had a big party to celebrate that. But we had no internet connection. It was just face-to-face communication, and that's part of life in China. Anyway, regarding Venezuela, what happened is very tragic because if we look at their history, in 1992 they were the third richest country in the Western Hemisphere. And I'll be going through some dates here from a list that a friend of mine, a military captain, posted on Facebook regarding what's happened with Venezuela. I haven't had a chance to fact check all of this. There's still a lot of information going about and more developments happening today. But again, as we know, on May 2nd, just a few days ago, 4 dead, shot by their government, 205 arrested, and hundreds more injured. The protests are still going on as we speak. So in 1992, Venezuela was the third richest country in the Western Hemisphere. Great oil reserves, a lot of natural resources, so much that is naturally right with their setting. They have so much to share, so much to give to the world. But in 2001, unfortunately, they elected a socialist president, and it all went downhill from there. Now, it looks pretty good at first. In 2004, they socialized their health care, so it was free health insurance for everyone. In 2007, higher education, again, became free. But a couple years after that, 2009, gun ownership was banned. And so now the protesters out on the streets, the military is coming at them with rifles and tanks, and they don't have any weapons to defend themselves with. They're out there throwing rocks or whatever. In many of the reports, I've been hearing that the government has been using rubber bullets and tear gas, which isn't as bad, but again, we have 4 dead, 4 citizens shot so far. And this is just the beginning, because this whole crisis, from what I understand, has to do with Maduro, who he was elected in 2013, and now he's been asked to step down. He is still maintaining his grip on the country as a new president has taken office. Guaido. I'm not so good at pronouncing Spanish, South American names, but anyway, there is a conflict between 2 acting presidents, and that's what's causing all of this. Maduro is backed by Turkey, Russia, and China, and his opponent is backed by our government. We saw Mike Pence meeting with Guaido just a few months ago, but now it's all coming to an end. So in 2009, gun ownership was banned. 2012, Bernie Sanders said that Venezuelans live the American dream better than Americans do. 2014, opposition leaders in prison. 2016, food shortages, which we all heard about, and overinflation, of course. Maybe some of you have seen those photos of paper money, paper Venezuelan currency, just filling ditches, just collecting in gutters. Elections were suspended in 2017, and now in 2019, Venezuelans are being killed by their own government. There is still pro-Venezuela content on Bernie Sanders' page, and so I believe that Bernie didn't have much of a chance before, but now people are going to look at this and say, okay, this is your Venezuela, this is your American dream, this is what it turns into. This is the American dream when they take away our guns. This is the American dream when they come after us. This is the American dream as it played out in Kent State in 1970. This is what's happening right now in Venezuela. So please pay attention to what's going on, pray for everyone involved, and hopefully this will be brought to an end very soon without military intervention. It's frightening to hear that there's talk of the American military intervening as well as Russia, and so there haven't been troops sent down there yet, but at the same time we're watching this situation escalate out of control. Finally, let it be another reminder that socialism just doesn't work. And this is what happens. This is what happens when we elect a socialist government, a socialist president, decide that everything's going to be free. Free higher ed, free health care, and perhaps the most frightening thing is banning guns. This is why we have a Second Amendment. I myself, I don't feel very good about guns. I've never fired one. I've only picked one up once, and it actually was stolen, if I recall. But I still support the right of people to have them because this is what happens. This is why citizens need to be able to defend themselves against their governments. These are the guns of Brixton in that great Clash song. This is people standing up for their rights. When they kick at your front door, how are you going to come? With your hands in the air or on the trigger of your gun. Maybe I messed up the quote a little bit. Anyway, say no to socialism. Let's not elect a socialist like Bernie Sanders to America because this is what it leads to. This is what it always leads to. And don't give me any of that, well, that wasn't the real socialism thing. Or I'm a democratic socialist. There's a reason these words are so terrifying to Americans because we can look at what's happening in Venezuela right now and see what also has happened in pretty much every communist country in the world, with the exception of perhaps this unique brand of communism that they have somehow made work out here in Vietnam. Stay tuned. Thanks for listening. Over and out.